Chapter 59. I bunked in with Snooky for 5 or 6 weeks, roughly the time it took for me to find a livable, affordable one-bedroom apartment on the west side. Roughly the time it took for me to stop using "who cares" and "what's the difference" is my stock answers to every conceivable question. Roughly the time it took for me to stop having to drink myself to sleep. I went back to work, of course, with what people used to refer to as a vengeance. For a while, my act reverted back to my French dirge period. I dressed entirely in black. I did entire evenings of heartbreak ballads. What Not My Love, followed by Non C'est Rien, followed by It's Over, Goodbye, sometimes singing Stay With Me, Baby, every single set until my throat bled. Marcia finally got me into an arm lock and made me promise to put some up-tempos back into the show. Seems some of the Blue Dahlia's customers were pairing off and making suicide pacts, and Snooky gently informed me that wearing all black clothing was all well and good if one happened to be Johnny Cash, but was otherwise to be avoided, unless you're a New Yorker. And I got better. Let's face it. After 6 weeks of wearing black, heaving profound sighs, and carrying calla lilies, I had to get better, or Snooky would have had me embalmed. I never even tried to fool myself that I would ever completely lose the nagging feeling that I had made the wrong decision. Okay, I can read this. I would have had that no matter my decision, or that I could ever forget about Keith. I thought of him nearly every spare moment of the day, and on a night of drugless sleep past that did not include a dream starring Keith. I simply pressed on. What could I do? I had rolled out my sleeping bag, as Snooky put it, and now I must zip myself in. I Will Survive became the recurring background theme for the movie musical that was my life, playing incessantly behind a fast-moving, quick-cut montage. Johnny Ray plunking down $300 to learn the MBI System 3000 word processor. Johnny Ray handing in his resignation at Troy Nelson. Johnny Ray working a succession of temporary word processing jobs. Johnny Ray singing rock at Tom Sawyer's, singing Top 40 at the Blue Dahlia, singing When Sunny Gets Blue against the White Baby Grand at Tony Roma's in Beverly Hills. Johnny Ray as the lead player in an Itsy Bitsy Theater Workshop production of Pippin in Deepest Hollywood. Johnny Ray grinning in pleasure and surprise when the production rates a one-paragraph review in the Times, and one Johnny Ray Russo is described as, quote, a cut above the production itself with the sweet as honey tenor, unquote. Johnny Ray, smiling and laughing and pretending to quaff Pepsi at the beach with a group of clean-cut all-American youth in a television commercial whose residuals paid Johnny Ray's rent for over a year. If by chance you saw, and heaven forbid remember, the above-mentioned Pepsi commercial, it might be of some interest to you that, among the group of clean-cut all-American youth portrayed in said commercial, separated from yours truly by one small, pretty, pig-tailed black girl, who was no doubt cast lest anyone believed the black boy with the biceps might have designs on one of the 3 blonde girls in the group, wearing a pair of baggy Madras bathing trunks and his habitual caramel apple suntan, was none other than Louis. It was the very first thing I laid eyes on upon entering KTLL Studio C for the cattle call. The call for clean-cut boys and girls 18 to 22 had, of course, been blurb and dramalog and daily variety. Consequently, every living thing between the ages of 15 and 35 had been there since daybreak for a 9 o'clock call, composites in their hands and Vaseline on their upper front teeth. I was by this time almost 24, but I could easily pass myself off as a mere lad of 20 or 21 just by dressing in whatever the college kids were wearing that week, breathing through my mouth and clearing my mind of all conscious thought. I wasn't sure if I should go over to Louis and say hello. I hadn't treated the boy as well as I might have after all. And while I was deciding whether or not to just turn tail and run, I'd never been cast in a commercial before, what made me think I'd be cast in one now? Louis spotted me. Elbow and shouldered his way across the crowded soundstage toward me, smiling like the young Roddy McDowall as Lassie came home. Johnny Ray, he said, as if it were just a complete thought. Johnny Ray, he said, as if it were just a complete thought. Hi. It had been the better part of a year since I had last seen Louis. In that time he had managed to lose much of his baby fat, Judging from the newly delineated upper arms that stretched the short sleeve of his pristine white alligator shirt, Louis had taken to working out. He was wearing his hair shorter than I remember. He was affecting the style of dress that in LA was passing as preppy, although dressed like a native Californian's idea of an Ivy League schoolboy. He still managed to look like a snapshot of mortal sin. He could model swimwear for JCPenney's, or model it in the buff for Blue Boy magazine, or simply slow traffic to a crawl in West Hollywood in the summertime. In shorts, ladies and germs, one extremely beautiful boy. "How have you been?" he asked. "All right," I said, "if you don't ask for details." "You still playing Sawyers?" "Afraid so." "Still with that big guy?" "Schmertz?" "No." "Should I say I'm sorry?" "No, I guess not." "Good," he said. "You're a free man again, then." "If this is freedom, then I guess I am." "So after this thing is over, you think maybe you'd like to have some lunch with me?" "Yeah, I think I'd like that." So Louis and I went to the Hamptons and had turkey burgers, large iced teas, and a good long chat. "Why'd you quit Sawyer so suddenly?" I asked, my burger dripping a gruesome-looking yellow and red puddle onto my plate. "You never even said goodbye." "I got cast in a little theater production of A Midnight Summer's Dream. Lousy production, but all my life I'd wanted to play Puck. Anyways, I had to quit working nights. Besides," Louis tongued a mustard smudge off the side of his mouth, "I'd sort of fallen in love with this colored guy one Friday night, and next thing I knew, it was you and the big guy. I didn't think you'd notice I was gone." He looked at me over his turkey burger, and I noticed for the very first time that Louis's eyes weren't blue at all. They were hazel. "You broke my heart," he said, and he smiled, as if to say, "Just kidding," leaving me somewhat at loose ends. I made a big deal out of pulling the tomato slice out of my burger and slurping it up into my mouth before saying, as much toward the tabletop as toward Louis, "Think you might like to come home with me?" He said, "Uh-huh." 2 weeks later, Louis moved his clothes, his Schwinn 10-speed bicycle, and several large frame theater posters into my apartment. He stayed for nearly 2 years.